This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Peter Cowan. There's new information tonight in the case of a school principal charged with assaulting his students. Robin McGraw is trying to get access to his work emails and other school records. In the process, his lawyers have revealed some details about the allegations against him. Here Now's Ryan Cook is breaking this story tonight, and he's live in the studio. Ryan, we're learning today that this involved students with disabilities. What can you tell us about this?
That's right. There's 4 students involved here, and all 4 are said to have various learning or behavioral disabilities. The oldest student was in grade 6, while the youngest was in kindergarten. Robin McGraw was their principal, and according to these papers filed today, he's accused of using excessive force to correct their behaviors. Each of these children has some type of student support workers and paperwork associated with their cases. McGraw's lawyer has filed an application to force the school district to turn over that paperwork. They say it contains the history of interventions with those students and provides the context for his alleged actions. He's also trying to obtain his work emails, which he hasn't had access to since being suspended in June of 2018. McGraw actually made an attempt to get his emails through an access to information request last May, but it was denied. In court this morning, a lawyer for the school district said the emails wouldn't be a problem, but the student records will require a proper hearing.
Now, we're still in the early stages of this court case. Did the application give us any indication of what's to come?
It did, yeah. One section mentioned that McGraw is anticipating a section of the criminal code called correction of a child by force will be a part of this case. Basically, it states that a parent or a teacher is justified in using force towards a student under their care if the force doesn't exceed what is deemed to be reasonable. So the case that his lawyer is making now is, well, how can you judge what is reasonable if we can't see all the information about these kids, their behaviors, and what incidents have occurred in the past? All sides will be back in court on December 20th to give submissions on why this application should or shouldn't be granted. Peter?
Thanks, Ryan. That's Here Now's Ryan Cook with us live tonight. Well, we have a bit of breaking news. CBC News has learned that Andrew Parsons has resigned as the House Leader for the Liberal government. The reason remains unclear, but Parsons will stay on as the province's Minister of Justice and Public Safety. The House Leader is an important position in a minority parliament because that person makes sure that the government has the votes it needs in order to get legislation passed. We'll keep you updated on this story. Well, pieces of it are crumbling away, but the former women's penitentiary in Stephenville is not going anywhere. The town says the state of the building is a safety hazard. Shingles and pieces of insulation from the roof blew off during recent storms. The former prison is a surplus building for the Department of Transportation and Works. It's located near the College of the North Atlantic, an apartment building, and the West Coast Correctional Centre. Mayor Tom Rose says he's writing a letter to the minister. He says it's beyond repair and wants it demolished.
This building is beyond refurbishing. This is a demolition job. This is a building that has outlived its use. There's no equity left into it. The power's been cut only recently, from what I understand, the last couple of weeks. So we got to get it taken down. And government always has money for emergency reserves for such projects as this, I'm sure.
Meanwhile, the Department of Transportation and Works sent a statement. The department says that its primary concern is the safety of the public and staff, and the department conducts regular security checks and has taken measures to prevent access to the building, including boarding up windows. It goes on to say that any safety issues that are identified are addressed in a timely manner. The department says, like other surplus buildings, it is interested in making the site available for redevelopment by private developers if there's interest. Well, the provincial government is responding to the opposition's call for a referendum on equalization with a hard no. Earlier today, PC leader Ches Crosby renewed his proposal to hold a province-wide vote on the federal program. He says it would be a powerful tool in any future negotiations with the federal government.
If we want to have a voice at that table, which is fully heard and understood, then we have to shake a leg and do what I'm suggesting. Impress the rest of the country with the seriousness of our situation here and with our provincial will to do something about it.
Now, Provincial Finance Minister Tom Osborne says he agrees the equalization program is unfair, but he also believes a referendum would be a waste of money.
I can save the taxpayers of this province $2 or $3 million today and tell them what the answer to this question is going to be. We all want to see changes to the equalization formula. We don't need a political stunt in order to tell us that. We know the answer.
Now, trustees with the Newfoundland and Labrador English School District have voted to approve millions in spending. It's for a new financial system to address problems highlighted in a scathing report by the Auditor General. This weekend's vote gave the green light to spend up to $2.7 million, but the final decision is effectively pushed back until the end of January. That delay will give the province time to look into another option to piggyback on the core government's existing financial system. Either way, action is expected to happen soon.
To get this right is absolutely vital for the students in our system. There's no question about that.
Right now, it's looking like we may be able to address a very big problem that we had an awful lot of trouble with before.
Workplace NL is spending $1.5 million to improve safety on the job for people who work in manufacturing and processing. At a news conference today, the agency revealed that most people who are injured on the job in this province are in those high-risk industries. More than $13 million was paid out last year in accident claims, while more than $53 million was spent over the last 5 years. The agency is setting up a safety sector council made up of employers and labor reps to promote workplace safety.
Manufacturing alone, the incident rate now is currently for this year 3.1 per 100 workers, the lost time incident rate rather. And in fish processing, it is 2.1 per 100 workers. So both of those figures are well above the provincial average.
In the meantime, Dennis Hogan says the average number of accidents on the job is at an all-time low of 1.6 injuries for every 100 workers. But he says they are seeing more serious injuries and more mental health-related claims from the workplace.
It all started in Black Tickle when I was a boy. I was 16 or 17 years old.
Coming up in about 13 minutes on Here Now, we'll introduce you to a Labrador artist who makes carvings out of bone, wood, and soapstone.
We've got a ridge of high pressure in place for parts of the province today, and we do have a low still sitting offshore, and that's affecting the weather mainly along the northeast coast. Take a look at these current sustained winds, 46 kilometers per hour in Bonavista and 30 kilometers per hour for St. John's right now. The good news is this low pressure system will continue to pull away in the coming hour, well, at least in the next 24 hours, but it's keeping those temperatures cool. Twillingate only reached a high near 3 degrees. A beautiful afternoon along the south and west coast. 12 degrees was the afternoon high in Burgeo today. So there's a look at that ridge of high pressure. Next weather maker just edging its way into Labrador as we speak now. This big low pressure system we talked about yesterday is where the jet stream is helping steer this low, and that's going to move north as we head through the next 24 hours. I'll have all the details on the forecast coming up.
A clarification tonight on the cleanup efforts involving the 2.6 million dead salmon at a farming operation on the island's south coast. While Northern Sea Harvest Farms says it has cleaned up all of the dead fish in the cages, it also says the cleanup work is not finished. The company says it is committed to cleaning up the entire site. New pictures that we brought you last night on Here and Now show there's still fat on top of the cages and along the shoreline. The fish died in early September at the aquaculture project in Fortune Bay. The company says all the dead fish have been removed, but there's still some work left to do. In a statement released Sunday night, the company says Northern Harvest is committed to being as thorough and comprehensive as in its response efforts as possible, and we continue to keep our staff focused on any remaining site cleanup activity. Now to the island's west coast for a story that involves a different kind of farming and an issue that people in the industry can face. A farmer in Pasadena is speaking out about his mental health. He's hoping by sharing his story that it'll inspire more people in agriculture to open up. Here Now's Troy Turner reports.
2019 was not the greatest year for growing pumpkins at Wright's family farm, but it was a banner year for many berries. Owner Andy Wright knows it's the nature of farming, and he's okay with it. But about 4 years ago, coping with this aspect of farming and many others was more difficult. Wright sought help and was diagnosed with depression.
We're tough and resilient and outstanding in our field, and so there's this image of the farmer, how tough we are, and you gotta have thick skin, but I think it just makes it worse.
Wright says it's worse because people just don't talk about it. But farming is stressful work, the solitude, the unpredictable weather, and financial stresses. When Wright left the ministry to go into farming full-time, he saw firsthand how difficult the work could be.
In the first year, I ran from crisis to crisis to crisis to crisis.
Do More Ag is a nonprofit focusing on mental health in agriculture. It offers training and programs to deal with the stresses of the industry, especially with younger farmers. In recent months, it has received calls from farmers in this province looking for help. Wright is not surprised.
In the non-farm part of my life, my social life, I've come across a whole bunch of people who are wrestling with the same things outside of agriculture. And so I'm thinking that if there's all these friends that aren't doing what I do, there's got to be friends and colleagues in the industry that are wrestling with the same things. And I don't want them to. It's miserable. It's a miserable feeling.
Given the nature of farming and the solitary lifestyle that it can entail, farmer Andy Wright realizes that there's not a lot of talk in the industry about this sort of thing. However, if someone is struggling or they think they may be struggling, his advice is simple: talk to someone. In Pasadena, Troy Turner, CBC News.
Talk about giving your root vegetables some personality. A St. John's woman will tell us why she's reviving the art of carving a turnip. Welcome back to Here and Now. And Ashley, I gotta say, fall is always a bit unpredictable in Newfoundland and Labrador. Some days you get a nice, bright, sunny day, and then there were days like today in St. John's.
Yeah, in St. John's it was like that, but it was beautiful in other places. Let's take a look at the harbor cam. It's dark now, but about 10 minutes ago, it was just...
You can't see all the blowing leaves.
That's right.
And, yeah.
Yeah, you can't. It's still a gorgeous shot, though. What a beautiful evening, at least it looks like there. But yeah, foggy skies, conditions not too great. But if we take a look at what it was like on the other part of the island, on the south coast, an absolutely spectacular day in Burgeo. It kind of looks like the middle of summer there, doesn't it? Karen sent us that great shot. But yeah, temperatures down along the south coast, the warmest. That's where the hot spot was, 12 degrees in Burgeo today, and barely reaching the mid-single digits again along the northeast coast. 3 degrees in Twillingate, 8 degrees for Happy Valley Goose Bay, and then Nain sitting around 7 degrees this afternoon. So again, it's where that low pressure system is sitting, and it's been stalled for us for the past couple of days. The good news is it is on its way out, allowing a little bit of a ridge of high pressure that has been dominating most of the island to move in a little bit further west. So as we head through the night tonight, that low will slowly creep off, likely still going to see the gray skies and risk of drizzle, at least for Bonavista and the northern Avalon through the overnight tonight. Then we've got a next system moving in for Labrador. And with those warmer temperatures, it's actually going to be rain tonight and just some shower activity. That's going to move up through northern Labrador as well. But overall, looking at a quiet night for you in the Big Land, just mainly cloudy. The rest of us on the island still looking at that chance of some showers or drizzle like I mentioned, but otherwise clear skies. So Corner Brook -2 tonight. Light winds, generally 2 degrees for Port aux Basques, 0 in Marystown. St. John should sit around 5 degrees. Actually see that temperature climb as we head towards the morning hour. So northerly winds 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. St. Anthony looking at 1 degree. And then again, that shower activity possible for Lab City and +1 overnight tonight. Now for tomorrow, that system that I was talking about is going to spread showers for most of the Big Land, or at least the chance of showers for most of the Big Land tomorrow. And it's going to bring in some of that cloud cover for the west coast. So you're going to see that chance of showers more than likely late afternoon, and then some clearing skies for eastern portions of the island, potentially not making it until sunset. So we could see a nice sunset, but then as that little bit of a system moves through, we're going to see more cloud cover increase. It looks like it's going to stay unsettled through the day on Thursday as another low pressure system moves in. So here's a look at your temperatures, a degree or two warmer than what we saw yesterday, or today rather. 7 degrees for Bonavista, same for St. John's. Those winds will be noticeably lighter tomorrow afternoon. And then for Clarenville, you're seeing a high near 10 degrees. Marystown, sunshine and 9. Double digits by the time we reach central. Grand Falls winds are looking at 11 degrees. Harbor Breton, another beautiful day, and 8. And temperatures a little bit cooler along the south coast, and that's just because we're going to see a little bit of a wind shift with those west-southwesterlies, and then they're going to pick up a little bit as well, 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Again, that shower activity moving in through the afternoon. 9 degrees for Cartwright, 10 in Mary's Harbor. And then again for the western portion of Labrador, 4 degrees. But you're going to see that potential for some flurries towards the evening hours as those temperatures dip. It will start out as showers. And then winds really ramping up through Nain. You're looking at wind gusts anywhere from 50 to 70 kilometers per hour in the evening. That's ahead of our next weather maker, which I'll have all the details coming up in a little later.
Can't wait, Ashley. No pumpkin? Well, no problem. A St. John's woman has taken to carving a different kind of jack-o'-lantern by using turnips. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Dee Payne, and I carve turnips. It's an old Irish tradition. Years ago, people would carve turnips instead of pumpkins to scare away evil spirits. They'd carve the turnip and leave it by their doorstep, and they'd scare away the evil spirits during Samhain, or Samhain, which became Halloween. They didn't have pumpkins in the UK and Ireland and England like they did over in North America. These are just some kitchen tools that I had on hand. A melon baller, which was great to scoop out to get some of the stuff, the inside out, and just your run-of-the-mill ice cream scoop. But the easiest tool I found was this apple corer with the serrated edge, because it really scoops out the inside and makes it a lot easier to thin it out, because you want it as thin as possible on the inside so that you can poke your nose and your eyes in there. And then, but this just works wonders, poking the perfect hole for the nose and the eyes, and just works great. So just anything you have around the house, really, just don't use mother's good knives in case you break them, because she won't be happy. My mom just said to me when I was young, years ago they carved turnips, so we just started carving turnips when I was younger, and then eventually moved on to pumpkins. But I'm kind of getting back into carving the turnips now. I think it's a nice tradition, so I think I'm going to bring it back.
And what you scoop out of the center, you can take and use for your cooked dinner. There you go. Well, now from carving turnips to a story about a different kind of carving. John Neville is well known for his wood, bone, and soapstone carvings. The Happy Valley Goose Bay man spent the summer making over 300 works in a small shed on his property, even though he lost sight in one of his eyes. Here now's Jacob Barker stopped by to talk to him about his work.
My name is John Neville. I'm a soapstone, whalebone carver. In the days of living in Black Tickle, there was no stone out there, no bones or nothing like that. But when the old vessels would come into the wharf, they'd drop off a real nice pallet, a nice hardwood pallet, maybe a birch pallet. Because there's no trees or wood in Black Tickle, you got to go back 22 miles for wood. So when you see a nice piece of board or a nice piece of wood, you'd grab that and you'd bring it home and you'd make a dog team, make sleds out of it, or you'd make all kinds of little things out of it. And that's where it all started. It all started in Black Tickle when I was a boy. I was 16 or 17 years old. I love carving because it's good for the mind. You'll come out carving in the morning, early in the morning, 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and you don't know nothing about it until it's 9 o'clock at night. You don't know where the time went. You just know that you had fun all that day. My favorite carvings is a kayak. Kayak was the first thing I believe I've ever made, wooden kayaks. I have one here now. I love to make the kayak with the man spearing the seal and the seal on the back part of the kayak. I love that carving. That was always my favorite carving.
You went blind in your left eye over the last year. How has that affected your work?
It's really affected me, like doing stuff now close up, trying to do little findings. Sometimes I really got to work hard. And close up, my eyes is not that good. Even my good eye is not good close up. But I have the glasses here now, and I can see a little bit close up. I was trying to make the spear for that hunter here. I ruined one trying to make one. That would never be me, not when I had my eyesight. And I've been seeing doctors and stuff and trying to get some help. But now my help will be here. I'll have my help. It's my medicine. It was always my medicine when I get down. And that medicine is going to bring me back up and make me the same old fella I used to be.
Basic items like walkers, canes, and crutches.
Offering help through the HELP program. Up next, we'll tell you what's being done to make sure people have all the assistance they need after they leave the hospital.
Bridget was actually in the hospital when she was 3 days old. Her knees were like footballs. She couldn't bend her arms.
We're checking back in with people whose lives have changed in an instant.
She had a genetic mutation and she was first in the world diagnosed. Had a bone marrow transplant when she was 2.5.
And to see where they are today.
After that transplant, she was pretty much 100% cured.
I really like the acting in that. That's my favorite part. I enjoy it.
Bridget Park on the next segment of This Is My Story, coming up on Here and Now.
Privacy experts are warning people never to give out their banking password to anyone, even if another bank is asking for it. But one bank is asking potential customers to do just that. Yvonne Colbert has the story.
Kaminsky couldn't believe his eyes as he tried to open an online account with National Bank from home. That's because the bank wanted him to disclose his account number and password at another bank as part of the application.
Boy, that's a first for me. I've never been confronted with that before in all my 20 years of online banking.
National Bank makes no apologies. They call the requirement innovative, a way for customers to avoid having to visit a brick-and-mortar bank. It says the information is totally scrubbed. But one expert has questions, like did any employees view the information? Has a copy of it been retained?
I don't even know what they mean by scrub. There's various methods of de-identifying data, some more secure than others. There's a whole area involved here. So just that they're saying, well, we scrub it. I don't even know what that means.
And she's not the only privacy advocate who's concerned, not only about the scrubbing, but about the liability of people who willingly give up their bank access.
The problem here is even the Canadian Bankers Association, every major Canadian bank, the first line of defense that they say is do not divulge your password to anybody, including family members. And if you do, and anything happens to your account that you didn't actually authorize, you are on the hook for that activity because you divulged your password.
Polsky is urging National Bank to rethink its policy. Both she and Kavukian say never give your banking information to anyone. Kaminsky followed that advice and opted not to provide his password. National Bank says any potential customer can open an online account without providing that information if they visit a branch. Yvonne Colbert, CBC News, Halifax.
If you're in hospital because of surgery or an injury, usually all the equipment and devices you need to help in your recovery are right there by your side. But what about when you get out and return home? Well, the Canadian Red Cross has a program that can help with that. It's called HELP. And Here and Now's Carolyn Stokes checked it out.
So describe what the HELP program is.
The HELP program is our health equipment loan program. It's a short-term 3-month loan of basic health equipment mobility aids. Generally what it's used for is for people after surgery or after injury. It helps them recover in the comfort of their own home.
What kind of equipment are we talking about?
We have basic items like walkers, canes, and crutches. We also have items that are used in the bathroom for like a bath transfer bench, raised toilet seat, toilet safety frame, and bath chairs.
So you're an occupational therapist. You must see a lot of people in need of all of this equipment around us right now.
Yes, occupational therapists work with people, like Kate had alluded to, in hospital, after they have experienced injury or illness. And so this is the type of equipment we would prescribe to help people who are in need of it. This is October, which is Occupational Therapy Month. And so what we are doing as occupational therapists throughout the province, we are partnering with the Red Cross to try to encourage people who have equipment at home to pay it forward by donating their gently used equipment to the Red Cross so people can avail of the program in the province.
And when you say gently used, can you be a bit more specific? What are you not looking for?
What I tell people is that if you wouldn't use it yourself, or if you wouldn't have your own loved one use it, then I probably would not donate it to the Red Cross.
That sounds like good advice. And what about the entire province? How much of a need is there, in St. John's right through to Corner Brook up through St. Anthony for all of this stuff?
I think there's a need throughout the province, no matter where you live, but the greatest need that has been identified is actually in the St. Anthony area. And our efforts as occupational therapists, this Occupational Therapy Month, is to go towards helping St. Anthony, who is in the northernmost part of the province and really remote, to be able to stock their equipment loan cupboard for that large geographical area that they service.
Some people who maybe have purchased the equipment, they may have equipment that's in great condition but is no longer of use to them. We can definitely put that equipment to good use.
What kind of a difference does it make for people who need this equipment?
What it does is actually helps people return home. Say if they had a surgery in the hospital, some people actually need this equipment in their home in order to return home and recover at home. So it might make the difference of getting out of the hospital and getting back into your own home and getting back into your daily routine much sooner than normal.
Yeah, and saving the money as well that you would pay out for this equipment.
Oh, exactly. Because for a lot of people who just need it for a short period of time, there's no need to actually buy it. You can loan it from us, and then the next person who needs it can also loan it from us. So it goes, one piece of equipment can help multiple people.
And how can someone access the program if they're in need of equipment?
To access the program, all you need is a referral from your healthcare provider. So it could be an occupational therapist, physiotherapist, your family doctor, or nurse. And all you have to do is bring that referral to us, and then we'll take care of the rest.
It's one of my favorite things. You get to go to exotic places that you might not get to otherwise.
Jaco Goes Hollywood. A new season of Jack Ryan is coming out, and Newfoundland actor Alan Jaco is one of the season's stars. I'll chat with him when we come back. Welcome back to Here and Now. It's a blockbuster TV show with a familiar face.
Business a pleasure, Jack.
I'm here for work.
Season 2 of Jack Ryan is about to hit Amazon Prime, and you won't see his face in these trailers, but keep an eye out for Newfoundlander Alan Jaco, who's playing a Navy SEAL in this season. He's going to be walking the red carpet in New York in about an hour, but before he does that, he's joined us in order to tell us more about his role. Thanks for taking the time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So tell me, what's the character we're going to see you in this TV series?
It's funny when you described that I was a Navy SEAL, it almost sounded like you said baby seal. It would be very, very different it would be a very dramatic choice for Jack Ryan to have me play a SEAL. But I am playing a Navy SEAL. I play a special ops guy. So John Krasinski, Wendell Pierce are CIA guys, and they're on a mission, and they need a team of elite force, an elite force to help them. And I'm one of those guys.
Now, we're used to seeing you on Canadian TV shows with Canadian TV-sized budgets. How does working on a blockbuster like this compare?
It's tough. You know, it's a challenge we always have when we're making work in Canada, because the audience doesn't care if you have $5 or $50 million. And you know, in comparison, our last show, Caught, which was on the CBC, was the 70s period show. You know, really challenging. We had very little money to execute, and our neighbors to the south in the U.S. often have double, triple, or whatever, you know, the budget.
Now, usually when we see you in a show, you mentioned Caught there, that's a show that you created, you wrote it, you starred in it. What's it like this time not being in charge?
Well, I think a lot of people might imagine that I like being in charge more than not being in charge, but that really isn't the case. I started doing the other jobs really just to provide, you know, scratch a different itch that I had in terms of creatively, but I love being just an actor on a set, someone else's show where it's someone else's problem, and I just had to focus on one job.
Are you hoping that this becomes sort of a launching pad to more sort of big Hollywood, and we might see you less and less on Canadian TV?
I think I'd have to go try harder to do to do that. Like I still live there, you know. I live home, and I'm not planning on leaving. I saw a friend of mine recently at the royal wedding in Trinity. One of my actor friends from Toronto, Mark Critchett, and Melissa Royal's wedding. And the first words out of his mouth were that I hear you're moving to Hollywood, and we're going to lose you. But I'm not, you know. Opportunities are opportunities. If the right fit comes up, if people want me to do things that I think are exciting and are interesting, I want to grow, and I want to be a better performer. I want to be a better writer. I mean, I also learned a hell of a lot as a producer, you know, on a movie like this, on a show like this, as you always do. So opportunities are opportunities, and if they're right, they're right. You know, I try not to overthink that too much.
You're still known to many people as Jake Doyle. They'll always see you as Jake Doyle. Is there any opportunity to bring that character back, either again on TV or in a movie form?
I think Mark O'Brien is just too famous to get now. Yeah, I would definitely. I feel like the time will be right. I have never let it go. Perry and I have talked about it a number of times. Perry Chafe and I, about wanting to resurrect those characters, but it has to be the right time, and I don't feel like it's almost too early.
Thank you very much for taking the time, and good luck tonight on the red carpet.
Thank you, and I'm in my hotel room, so I hope there's nothing terribly embarrassing behind me in the frame.
No, I think you look good.
Okay, thanks.
Speaking of taking on new roles, there's a new temporary member of the St. John's Public Library staff. She's a little younger than the other employees and doesn't have a whole lot of work experience, but she fulfills the #1 requirement. 10-year-old Kirsten Leary loves to read. After winning a contest, she became the province's first junior librarian for a day, and today she got to experience the inner workings of the A.C. Hunter Library. Take a look.
I picked all the books with these on them.
When you first got told that you won, what did you think?
We had a message on the phone, so yeah, I didn't really, I was like, I don't know. So, but after a while, my mom said, oh, I'll put on the message for you to prove it. And then I got so excited. Oh my God.
So what Kirsten is doing today is she's working with those of us that buy the books and do some behind-the-scenes library work. So already she's helped to pick out books that the staff put up on display for us. She's helped do a little bit of weeding where we replace some books. She's looked at ordering books, so some of the things that are going to be new and coming in, she got a sneak peek before any of the other kids. And then she's actually going to pick out some spring hot releases for me. student. We're so excited to have her say, you know what, this is really cool, and maybe you don't have enough of this. So we can say, great, so we'll make sure that we buy it and have it on hand for other readers. We have a lot of kids who are really excited by the library, who love to come into the library, and I thought, what a great way to get those people who love to read and who come into the library anyway, what if we give them an opportunity to see what it's like and learn maybe this is something that they'll want to grow up to pursue themselves, right? How can we help them become lifelong library users?
The more I do, the more excited I get.
Do you think that you have a future in being a librarian?
Maybe. I haven't really thought about it, but after today, I'll figure out the results.
It's designed to look and feel like a military barracks.
But they aren't military barracks. These are tiny homes built for housing homeless veterans. We'll tell you more about that coming up. You know, earlier I was complaining about the temperatures we have here, but I have to say I saw a reporter live in Regina today, and there was snow on the ground, it was windy. It was a good reminder that no matter how bad things are here, there's always somewhere that's got it worse.
It's true. Sometimes it's us that has it worse. But yeah, let's take a look at the temperatures across North America right now. You can see that cold pool of air. Denver sitting at -11. They're under some winter storm warnings right now. Oklahoma City sitting at +2. That is well below seasonal for this time of year. And then we've got the opposite in California, where we've got those Santa Ana winds, warm temperatures, dry conditions, and all those forest fires. So where that jet stream is, though, is playing a role kind of in how our weather is playing out right now. We've got that 4-degree temperature in St. John's, 15 in Montreal. But as we head through the next couple of days, that jet stream's pretty much going to stay stationary. It's actually going to move a little bit further north, and that's going to allow the little area of weather that's happening down in the south. That's going to be our next major weather system as we head through the next couple of days. So Tomorrow, we do still have that ridge of high pressure in place. It's going to move slowly east, which means central areas of the island will actually see a lovely afternoon. Increasing cloud along the west coast, and then eventually going to see some clearing for parts of eastern Newfoundland. Finally, 7 degrees in St. John's, but again, those clearing skies. Either snow or flurries up through Lab City at 4 degrees, and then actually a pretty nice day for Happy Valley Goose Bay. Just a slight chance of some showers, but you should reach a high near 11 degrees. Now, looking at the future tracker for the next couple of days, it is a little bit up in the air. So I'm going to stop the future tracker Thursday. So this is Halloween now. We're going to see some showers move in, but pay attention when I move a little bit further. So this is one model. The next model kicks in and it moves that system a little bit further north. So right now it's a little bit up in the air about just where that cold line will be and where we're going to see some snow or warmer temperatures, because this system is actually going to bring a pretty big, significant push of warm air with it, along with some winds, some rain, and again, some potentially, well, more than likely going to see some accumulating snow up through Labrador. So here's a look at your Thursday forecast. Temperatures in the double digits, but again, looks like showers along the west coast. The eastern portion of the island actually looks pretty nice. Should be a beautiful evening. These temperatures a little bit cooler than what we're seeing as a daytime high. So anywhere from 9 to 12 degrees by the time the kids go out. And then it does look like snow and cool temperatures up through Labrador. So here's a look at the next couple of days. Quickly, we'll zoom through that. 12 degrees I have us sitting over the next couple of days for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. These numbers will more than likely change over the coming days, just depending on the track of that system and the winds, really, because they're really going to ramp up on Friday, certainly for central Newfoundland. 15 degrees it looks like as of now, and then that big drop in temperatures as we head towards the weekend. But it does look like sunshine in play for western Newfoundland by then. Eastern Labrador, you're going to see your double-digit temperatures and then say goodbye to them for a little while. Sitting at about 1 to 3 degrees. Saturday looks not too bad though with that sunshine. And then for western Labrador, same thing, overnight lows dipping again into those minus double digits by Saturday. Few peaks of sun, but we're still looking at that chance of flurries.
Thanks, Ashley. Speaking of weather, winds of up to 100 kilometers an hour are expected to fan wildfires across California. You saw that video there on board a fire truck heading into the heart of the Kincaid blaze in Northern California. It's the largest in the state right now, covering 300 square kilometers. It's about 15% contained. Nearly 200,000 people are already under an evacuation order. 3 years after losing their homes in the Fort McMurray fire, some homeowners feel victimized again. They claim they have faced delays, evasion, and failed inspections from the company they hired to rebuild. Here and Now's CBC's Katie Nicholson has more.
Boards ain't screwed onto your decks.
The planks of Jason Corneck's patio pop up because they aren't properly nailed down.
So this is what I end up with, like work that was half done. And
good news, no one here watches the National.
Safety issue.
Corneck's home was destroyed in the Fort McMurray fire 3 years ago. He hired Bristlecone Homes to rebuild from the ashes, a decision he's regretted ever since.
I had all metal railing. I come home one evening, all my railing was gone off the deck. There was nothing there.
Where'd it go?
The guy that put the railing on never got paid, so he came back and took his railing.
Across town, Linda Myers is another dissatisfied customer, in part because the build dragged on 7 months beyond her expected move-in date. And she was less than thrilled with the progress and workmanship.
I got an ulcer. I actually developed an ulcer when all of this was going on. Just the stress, the worry, you know, is it ever going to get done? Is it going to get done properly? Or is it going to fall down around our ears when we finally move into it, if we ever get to move into it?
Some fire victims who signed up with Bristlecone Homes told us about long construction delays, failed inspections, unfinished or poorly done work, and liens placed on their homes by contractors who say they weren't paid. In email correspondence, Bristlecone's head, Kunal Nagpal, told us the delays were due to weather, poor fire debris cleanup, the insurance companies, and clients holding back payment. He says if contractors weren't paid, it's because they did a poor or incomplete job.
Hi, it's Katie with CBC. I wanted to ask you some questions.
We tried to follow up with Nagpal on camera, but he didn't want to talk.
Mr. Nagpal?
Bristlecone isn't the only company Kunal Nagpal is involved with. He also started a company called Emerge Rebuild in Santa Rosa, California, after the 2017 Tubbs fire left thousands homeless. The California Contractor State License Board confirms it is investigating Nagpal's company for allegedly operating without a license and allegedly overcharging a disaster victim for services.
What I can tell you right now is that our investigation is continuing. We are getting close to a conclusion. At the end of it, we do expect to be able to turn over a case to the Sonoma County District Attorney for potential criminal charges.
Nagpal says he's aware of the investigation, but believes he hasn't done anything against California's rules. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Fort McMurray.
In international news now, a public inquiry in Britain is blasting the London Fire Brigade for the way it handled the deadly Grenfell Tower fire 2 years ago. 72 people died when flames engulfed the apartment building in June 2017. The inquiry praised the firefighters who battled the flames that night, but said training and preparation for an event like the Grenfell fire were inadequate. It pointed out that the stay-put strategy used that night, where residents were told to remain in their apartments, the report says fewer people would have died if that strategy was abandoned sooner. The London Fire Brigade's union is fighting back, saying the report is unfair. The CEO of Boeing faced tough questions on Capitol Hill today in Washington. A congressional committee grilled him about 2 crashes of its 737 MAX planes that killed 346 people, including 18 Canadians.
We've made mistakes, and we got some things wrong. We're improving, and we're learning.
Dennis Muhlenberg apologized. He also told senators and victims' families what changes Boeing has made to its anti-stall software called MCAS, as well as the training for it, the broader safety protocols. When asked if he would resign, he said that's not his focus right now. Muhlenberg will be back in the hot seat again tomorrow before a second committee. Boeing 737 MAX airliners remain grounded worldwide. A group in Calgary is taking a unique approach to housing homeless veterans. They're building a village of tiny but fully functional homes. The first round of tenants are expected to move in this week. Aaron Collins gets an early look inside Calgary's first Veterans Village.
It's designed to look and feel like a military barracks. 15 tiny homes built on 3 residential lots in Calgary. This is the Homes for Heroes Village, a first of its kind in Canada, custom built to house homeless vets. This village inspired by the need Dave Howard saw when he visited his grandfather, a Second World War veteran who suffered from PTSD and struggled to find the help he needed.
What I saw was that somebody that served our country, he came back broken, and we weren't there to help.
Well, there are 15 tiny homes here. Future villages will contain 20 at a cost of between $3.5 and $5 million, all raised through donations.
Canadians are very passionate about helping those that serve. And this village is really a testament to that.
Well, as the finishing touches are put on this facility, another one is being built in Edmonton. First steps to address a pressing need across the country.
It's a beautiful spot. How many of these do we need in Canada?
We need 300-400 of these in Canada to solve the issue. If we get them, we can solve it.
Right now.
Right now.
The homes are compact and functional. So far, the hardest part about finding tenants for them has been convincing vets they deserve them.
They don't feel as though they're deserving of anything. And the position they're in right now is their own fault.
Don McLeod should know he spent 30 years in the military before becoming the on-site counselor at the village. McLeod says losing the structure of a military life can be difficult for some vets.
It's not hard for them to end up into the street. Some just don't have those supports they lost when they left the military, and they don't know how to access them.
The hope is that these tiny structures can help bring big changes to some of Canada's veterans. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
Well, how's this for a little bit of a weather photo? A little bit of a hint. This was today, so I guess it kind of gives you an idea of where it could potentially be. I'll tell you where this is too when we come back.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Before we get to the weather, an equestrian event in Finland is literally running on horsepower. This comes after organizers found a way of turning horse poop into power.
Else it does need to be done because with all the oil and the gas pollution, it's really not good. So it's really cool that from horses we can actually get electricity.
There are more than 200 animals in this event, and anyone who knows horses knows that that adds up to a whole lot of manure.
A Finnish company says the droppings are dry and burn like wood chips. So when they convert it into energy, it's more than enough to fully fuel this 4-day event, proving that two things: that energy can come from the most unlikely places and that animals can be part of the solution.
Take a look at that weather photo just before we leave you tonight. Wave action in Foxtrap today. Thank you so much for sending that in, and if you have any you'd like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
What a beautiful picture there, and yeah, it really captures the wave and wind action we've been having all day today. So,
yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night.
Good night.